is Thursday, October 28th, 2021. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Harley Municipal Utilities Board of Trustees to order. Start with the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Seibert, aye.
Terry, aye.
Next item is the approval of the consent agenda. It includes the minutes of the October 14th electronic board meeting, abstract of claims number 1199 in the amount of $752,301. Upcoming board meetings, November 10th will be the electronic board meeting, and November 24th will be an in-person board meeting. They are both on Wednesday due to upcoming holidays.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
And roll call.
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Seibert, aye.
Terry, aye.
Okay, item number 4 is committee report on CEO performance evaluation.
Want your report, Michelle, or do you want to?
Go ahead, your last time.
Yeah, Michelle and I met with Ken 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we had a list of about 20 things that we had identified a year ago that were things that we're trying to accomplish for the fiscal year from June 1st of 2020 to July 1st of 2020 to June 30th of 2021. So we went through each one of the criteria and scored them based on meeting expectations, not meeting expectations, and partially meeting expectations. And then we assigned a numerical value to each one of those, and then took an average. And the average came out to 1.875, and based on the contract, that would make him eligible for a increase in his base salary of 1.875%. So it would be our recommendation that we approve a base salary of 1.875% increase from last year. So I will make that motion.
I will second that motion.
Roll call.
Aye. Or Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Seibert, aye.
Terry, aye.
Item number 5 is general policy number 1, due date, delinquent notice, penalty, and reconnection fee for non-payment.
This is in reaction to a change in Iowa code. Our Director of Administration went to an IMU law seminar, and this was brought up, and as a result, we're modifying our resolution on due date and delinquent notices to comply with the new code. Jenny, you want to add anything on that?
Just on the second paragraph, we just basically added that last sentence saying that if there's a law that overrules our board policy, we will follow that. Because the new code specifically states that if a customer signs up for a payment agreement on electric service, you cannot charge them penalties any longer. So, we charge penalties on all past due balances. We had to change that so that we can accommodate the law for the electric, and it'll be a lot more work for our CSR that does shut-offs, because she has to go into every customer account and turn off the electric penalty whenever someone signs up for a payment arrangement. So
This was electric only.
electric only, and that's why we worded it this way, in case they decide to do the same thing with gas. We don't have to come back and change this policy again.
Okay.
Or water. We won't have to come back and change it again if they change it for any service.
So we just need a motion to accept this general policy number 1.
That would be great.
I'll make that motion.
And roll call.
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Seibert, aye.
Terry, aye.
Item number 6 is resolution number 12-14. Resolution honoring the service of Terry Aronson to the Harley Municipal Utilities Board.
Yes, this is a resolution honoring Trustee Aronson for his dedicated work over these last years. And as such, we have a resolution honoring the service of Terry Aronson to the Harlan Municipal Utilities. Harlan Municipal Utilities operates under the direction of a 5-member board of trustees selected by the City of Harlan, Mayor, and affirmed by the City Council. Harlan Municipal Utilities provides electric, gas, water, cable, television, internet, and telephone services to the city of Harlan. Whereas the 5-member board of trustees provides vision and guidance to maintain the utility functions for all the citizens of Harlan. Whereas Terry Aronson is one of the 5-member board of trustees for the past 8.5 years, has ended his term of office effective November 20, 2021. Now be it resolved that the Harlan Municipal Utilities and its customers appreciate the dedication, hard work, and time Terry Aronson contributed to serving as a trustee the past 8.5 years. Be it further resolved that Terry Aronson and guests will be permanently invited to the employee recognition banquet in appreciation of his service and dedication to the Harlan Municipal Utilities employees and customers. Signed and dated on October 28, 2021. Presented by David Terrell, Ella Siebert, Randall Rees, Michelle Erickson, and Kenneth C. Weber. I'm trying to get up here so she can back you.
Thank you for all your dedicated service. You're welcome.
Now that we've given it to him, we should probably make a motion.
Too late.
Yeah, motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And
Who was the
roll call.
first?
Michelle.
Michelle, okay.
Michelle, aye.
Carol, aye.
Reese, aye.
Cybert, aye.
I'll abstain.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, item number 7 is agreement for engineering services, Harlan Municipal Utilities Anti-Degradation Alternative Analysis.
Yes, this is related to the renewal of our MPDES effluent permit from the water treatment plant. What occurred was back in 2014, B&K Engineering had recommended a change in anti-scalant chemicals for use over at the RO units under the premise that it might improve the performance of the units. And what was expressed by the DNR when they renewed our permit was that chemical change was never accompanied by a required study to do that. And so this is a study to bring us into compliance on the MPDES condition permit. Engineering costs $19,300. It's non-budgeted, but it is stipulated in the permit as a required function to do basically the same assessment we would have to do for a new water treatment plant because of this change.
Can I just ask the obvious question, what if we went back to the old chemical? Or is that not an option?
That's not an option.
Not at this time.
Since we've been using this, we have the study on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have to do the study regardless?
Yes.
So with this new chemical, is it less expensive than the,
I don't know, I don't believe it's less expensive is what it was, but it was on the membranes and that's when they changed all them out that one time. And they changed the chemical at that same time when they did that.
Has it been working better?
We don't have anything to really compare it to.
Did we know we had to do the study at that time?
No, we did not. It was brought to our attention when they renewed the permit, so.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement for the engineering services.
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Michelle, aye.
Carol, aye.
Reese, aye.
Cybert, aye.
Terry, aye.
Okay. Item number 8, discussion of Prairie Fire Construction Group LLC unpaid bill of $41,284.
Yes, we just wanted to update the board in regard to this. Council has prepared and sent a letter to Prairie Fire requesting payment in a prescribed time frame of the monies that are in arrears from their development project. Had to do with service extensions and service work. It's an unpaid remainder from that project. And just within the last couple of days, we also received a new contact via the city that we will also now forward this information to, as one of the principals of the Prairie Fire, to see if we can get that completed. But we have started the process with the initial letter of request for payment, so.
So I sent out a letter, basically a demand letter stating that you have 15 days to make payment in full for this amount due. That's expired. As far as I know, I haven't gotten any personal contact back in response. I don't believe Ken and Jenny have gotten any response back from them. So I think that letter's void, I guess, at this point, as far as it being an offer of them to pay in full, because since then, Jenny brought to my attention there's some other items that are unpaid from that project. So I think the dollar amount would actually increase from what I sent in the letter, essentially.
It was an additional $2,779.80 on actual utility accounts from when they were using the services until they got turned over to either the tenant or the Sullivan Company's name. At the time we started, they hadn't finalized those bills yet, so now those are finalized, so that would be added to this. And a follow-up on the contact is the same. That name looked familiar, and that contact is the same contact that Deb had emailed back on September 14th.
Okay.
We did go ahead and send them the letter too, in case the letter didn't get to them, but they had been emailed previously.
Okay.
So basically, nothing has changed since the last meeting when we discussed the possibility of litigation. I told you my thoughts on venue and choice of law and things like that being here in Iowa, and that my recommendation was to move forward here, but the only additional information you need to know is that we have reached out formally by writing, asking them to pay by a certain date. That has not happened. Nor has any response been given, and the dollar amount has increased by the amount Jenny said was in addition that we didn't know about at the time that I sent that letter. Would that be accurate, Jenny?
Yeah, on the utility billing side, they sent their last payment in on July 23rd, and then we haven't received anything on that.
And so the recommended next step would be?
Recommended next step would be to simply file a lawsuit here in Shelby County, have them served, and see if they respond. They have, excuse me. I discussed the last meeting, so I don't know, I'm going to refresh everybody's memory. They don't have an Iowa office or any registered business in the state of Iowa that I could find. They used to, but that went inactive. Now, the registered agent at their active location was the same registered agent as was in Iowa. So that's the person I would serve. They're in Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas, I can't remember exactly where I mailed it to, but I mailed it to that address that they had all of their documentation. So that would be the next step, to have them served through the registered agent. Then the registered agent or the company would have 20 days to file an answer after they were served by the sheriff, the original notice in the petition. And then if they did not respond, then we would send them a letter saying, we have 10 days to respond, or else we'll ask the court to enter an order providing the damages requested in the petition for relief. So that's the process. If they do respond, then it's just a general litigation where we have to establish that, that we did the work and we're owed the money and they didn't pay their bill. So it's not a complicated situation, it's just a procedural one. That's how it would begin.
Okay, so what do you need from us to start?
Well, we discussed in the last meeting, I just wanted to provide you with the additional information and how the steps would work, and that they are an active company in a different state. And I do recommend that we file here because they did the work here and or services were performed here, and the payment was supposed to be made to HMU here. So the only additional information I wanted you to know is that in the meantime, I have attempted to collect from them, have not heard anything, and that there is an additional amount that we weren't aware of at the time that I sent that collection letter. So if that collection letter is expired, we can add the additional amount to whatever petition we file for the damages that we incurred.
We just need a motion from you stating that to go ahead and proceed with litigation.
That was what you do want a motion for that, that's your.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Cyber guy.
Terry, aye. Thank you, Matt. All right, on to informational only items.
Okay, we have the monthly McClure bills for various engineering services. And we are, I don't recall if I mentioned this in this meeting or not, but we did, there is a process now to where we can get the engineering part of it paid through what's it called?
Iowa Finance Authority.
Iowa Finance Authority.
SR.
And so we do have that process in place, and we have started processing engineering invoices through that payment system. So that's in the works. The next item, just an FYI, PSN is one of the systems that we use for electronic transactions. And it's just an informational piece that they're raising their rates by a nickel for electronic transactions. So just FYI.
And looking back, we signed that contract in 2016 and they haven't increased since.
Since then, so that's been in place since that. The Itron maintenance contract in the amount of $2293.41. Excuse me, that's for our annual maintenance on the Itron, the meter reading equipment. So that's also just an FYI. Western Area Power Administration correspondence, basically what that is, they said that they're not going to adjust the drought adder again this year, but they also are providing notice that due to reduced flow into the upstream dams, that there is potential next year for some impact to power production, just being monitored at this point in time. But it's just kind of a heads up of the continuing drought conditions upstream. And just a reminder to the public with regard to Western Area Power, HMU is a leader in renewable energy, contrary to some claims that have been made, because we do receive the bulk of our power from hydropower, and that is considered a renewable energy. So we get the bulk of our power through renewable energy already. So, APPA membership invoice, $4,006.56. That's for all of the utility services through APPA memberships. We have received acknowledgement, although we haven't actually received the funds, for a FEMA payment application we made for COVID-19 related expenses. Our director of admin headed that up, did all the paperwork, which I have to admit for any FEMA project, as we talked before, there's just a tremendous amount of time and effort involved, and sometimes you wonder if it's worth the money, but in this case it is $11,793, so every little bit helps in that regard. So I don't think we've received any notice when it'll be paid.
No, and I even asked and he said it was hard telling.
Yeah,
But I would just like to also add in Deb and Paul did a lot on, they're the ones that turned in all the receipts and all the,
Okay.
kept track of all of that. I did all of the dealing with the government side, but
I'm sorry.
but we had a good process and it worked good,
They
so.
were good, yeah. So congratulations to the group for getting that process for us. Also, item number G, I wanted to make the board aware, at the last meeting, we talked about some emergency repair that I had approved at 12th and Hawkeye. And I just wanted the board to know, in conjunction with those repairs, there was an additional section where we had a couple of faults on that old concentric, so I went ahead and approved the boring. For that additional work, we don't have an actual cost yet, do we?
Not yet, we're still waiting for them to
We
give
have
us
to wait for
that.
them to get the invoice, but we're thinking 5,000 to 6,000.
Yeah, it should be less than 5,000,
Less than
because
five.
they were pulling in 3, they'll probably just be pulling in 1 2-inch cable, about 310 feet, so.
Okay, all right. So that additional work was also approved and will be part of the full invoice on that work. We also, let's see, we received the 90% complete drawings from McClure on the raw water system improvements. And we have meetings scheduled for November 3rd at 1:30 for the raw water development project to go over all of that work. And also to review the permit, which will go in with the drawings to the DNR. So that'll be next week that we'll take that step. And then we're also going to be meeting with the electrical engineer with regard to getting the conduit installed at the same time for the electrical for the new transformers. It'll be installed in conjunction with that project. So those activities will occur next week. Let's see, and item number A in progress, we've had no progress on that one. That's the coordinated effort with the library on dark fiber lease telecommunications. Any questions on any of that? Okay.
All right, item number 10 is your CEO's report.
Okay, first of all, we had our all hands yesterday. We talked about the raw water drawings coming in for 90%, and also that we're getting ready to proceed with pressure filter number 1 remediation project. We also submitted the application this week for the CDBG grant. Todd Galene of the Chamber helped us coordinate that through SWIPCO. And so that documentation, I signed off on that this week, and that was going, I think that's 660 or 600. How much?
600.
600. It's an application for up to 600,000 toward the raw water project, so a grant application. So we appreciate all of Todd's effort and SWIPCO's effort on our behalf in that regard. So, let's see. Next item. We're still waiting on the USDA's letter of conditions. We've been informed that although we've been approved for the funds have not been made available yet. The last word we had, it was subject to the federal government's new fiscal year, which started in October. But we're still waiting on that letter of conditions to put in place our local financing, interim financing for that project. So that's still in the works. And then we get to kudos. We had kudos for Troy Ransom. Customer called to appreciate the work he did in getting some new cable runs. So kudos to Troy in that regard. Anniversaries, Jess Gessert celebrated her anniversary on October 1. She started in 2018. And I believe I said this before, but I'll say it again. Public Natural Gas Week was this month from October 3rd to October 9th. Customer Service Appreciation Week was October 4th to October 8th. We completed, Mark, was that all the hydrant flushing or just the first stage that we completed?
It's completed the hydrant flushing.
All of it?
Yep.
Okay, all right, so the hydrant flushing is done for this fall. We received an acknowledgement from the Harlan Community Schools regarding our sponsorship on the yearbook. Letter of appreciation from the American Cancer Society for a contribution toward their Relay for Life. FYI to the board, we have made the budget worksheets available to the various directors. So we have started the next budget process for fiscal year 22-23. So if you have any questions or any requests, just let us know, but we have started that budgeting process. The plan would be to have that reviewable with the committee and stuff by the end of the year to bring to the board in January. So. And with regard to some of our seasonal helpful tips, just a reminder, that information is on the website, or is it on the Facebook, Jenny? All that seasonal stuff?
There's some on both.
On both? Okay. So we have uploaded that information. As you're probably aware, there's been a number of additional stories recently about the heating season. I did get a comment from the public about why we didn't put a percentage. We expected the gas to go up, and the reason is the numbers are all over the place depending on what article you read. Some of the early ones were projecting 30 to 40% increase in natural gas, 50% increase in propane. There's been others as high as 300%. I mean, the numbers are all over the place, so that's why when we put out our press release, I intentionally did not put a percentage. I just said that it's projected that there would be some type of increase. But anyway, there's continuing stories. In fact, there's one now that just came out this week saying that it would be a more normal winter. So it's hard to tell. It's too early to tell right now. But we are keeping an eye on it, and we'll do everything we can to help our customers in that regard. Also, we had a planning and zoning working on the city's master plan. So we worked with the city on that this week. Gar was down there with us. And we went through a lot of various information with regard to, what is it, 10-year? Yes. 10-year plan, so. Any questions on any of that? Okay. There was one other, we had a question come in from the public about why we didn't have any public forums or any informational meetings. And my response to them basically was that we have these meetings open to the public once a month, and they've been going on ever since this situation came up about the election. They're open to the public. We have Zoom meetings. We believe we've made every effort available for anybody that had legitimate questions to ask about the process and the time. And I also informed the individual that our hands are somewhat tied because we can't advocate for or against the election, but everything that we have provided through the media, and the attorneys have provided through the media, we believe falls in the realm of what we can do as far as responding with facts. So that's kind of the stance we've taken, and that was why we more or less deferred on the idea of having any kind of a public forum at this point. We thought that we had already presented plenty of opportunities for people to ask questions. So, anyway, anything else? Any questions, concerns? That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Ken. Questions from anyone here, anyone online? Okay, well then we will move, I need a motion for a possible closed session to discuss marketing and pricing strategies and proprietary information of the telecommunications divisions whose competitive position will be harmed by public disclosure that is not required of potential or actual competitors, and no public purpose is served by such disclosure.
Thank you. I'll move to close session.
Yeah, we need a vote to go in.
You have to go in.
Yeah, I'm
I
going to go
have a
ahead.
motion, and a second. Second from Michelle. Roll call.
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Seibert, aye.
Terry, aye.
Motion carried. Thank you for everyone. Okay, we are back in open session. We entertain a motion.
To end the session.
No, to
Enact to approve the NTC master agreement with Zale.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
and roll call vote.
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Seibert, aye.
Terry, aye.
And that's being approved per terms of the master contract rather than two-year agreement.
Yes.
All right, anything else? And we are adjourned. Thank you.
Don't even finish all these.